Lawyers for Occupy Toronto squared off against the city today in court. The fate of hundreds of protesters now lies in the hands of one judge. Jeff Semple was at the hearing. Jeff, what's the latest?
Well, Dwight, I can tell you that hearing has just wrapped up here in the last 30 minutes, and the judge, Justice David Brown, didn't seem to have a lot of patience for the arguments made by Occupy Toronto. A lawyer representing the protesters made the case in court that it was part of their constitutional right to allow them to continue to protest and live in that park. This is, of course, a debate that's been brewing in this city now for a few weeks, and it finally had its day in court.
We need space for expression, and sometimes that kind of expression can't take place in a couple hours. One day, one march.
Our neighbors and businesses also have the right to conduct their business, to not have protests impede their revenue streams.
The debate over the occupation of St. James Park entered Ontario's highest court. A hearing to decide whether the city can legally remove the Occupy Toronto encampment now into its second month.
Some say greed is a natural thing. I say that we breed it into the children we bring.
Lawyers for Occupy Toronto say the encampment is part of their constitutional right, freedom of expression, which supersedes any municipal bylaws. Their lawyers telling the judge the movement is more than a protest or a picket line, but rather a physical manifestation of their charter rights. A lawyer for the Canadian Civil Liberties Association adding, the charter requires that we tolerate some cost, some inconvenience to accommodate free speech. But the city says that cost has gone far beyond inconvenience. City staff say the protesters have caused tens of thousands of dollars in damage to the park, and area residents and business owners who gathered at the hearing say they're fed up.
I'm hoping that once the judge deliberates, he delivers a kind of decision that is in favor of the city, first to revitalize the park and then to go back to enjoying the park the way that it was meant to be enjoyed by everyone, not just by a select few.
And at times, that debate got pretty heated inside the courtroom. On a number of occasions, the judge, in fact, started arguing and at times almost yelling at the Occupy Toronto lawyer, at one point saying, quote, if I were to beat a drum ceaselessly for 5 hours in the middle of the night, that's obviously an expression, but it doesn't mean that it deserves protection under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The judge was also very upset over this treehouse. Take a look. That treehouse you see there on your screen, the judge says was put up over the past couple of days after he specifically ordered those protesters not to put up any more shelters or structures in the park until his decision was handed down. The judge very upset about that, very upset over a number of arguments made by the Occupy Toronto protesters and their lawyer in court today. But he also cautioned that he is what he calls an aggressive questioner and not to read too much into that as it pertains to his ultimate decision. That will be made Monday morning, which gives him a couple of days to think about it, and it gives the Occupy Toronto protesters a couple of days at least to continue their protest with a march already planned for tomorrow afternoon. Reporting live, I'm Jeff Semple.
All right, Jeff, thank you for that.